Welcome to This Week in the Division 2, your only source for all the news, posts, build guides and more. Let's be honest with each other. There are a shit ton of Division 2 YouTube videos released every week, far too many to keep up with them all. So don't, because I'm going to do it for you. In this video I'm going to run through every Division 2 video released this week. In the description below I will leave a link to every video I watch so that it's easy for you to go straight to the ones that interest you. And to make this video as easy as possible to use, here are the timestamps for each section. You can also use the chapters below to jump straight to them. Now, I didn't watch every live stream or let's play video, but technically there are too fucking many of them. But look out for the names of them all at the end of the video. The big news this week for the Division 2 has actually nothing to do with the Division 2. I'm talking about the tech test for Arc Raiders that every creator seemed to be playing, myself included. The reason I raise this here are the comparisons that are already circulating between Arc Raiders and the Division's survival. Now superficially, the only thing that they have in common is that both are post-apocalyptic third-person extraction shooters. Aesthetically, they are completely different. Arc Raiders being set in a universe where humans live underground, away from the deadly Arc robots that patrol the surface. Like most extraction shooters, gear and resources you extract in Arc Raiders are used in subsequent rounds to give you an advantage, in contrast to Survival's level playing field with its fresh start each round. So why are people making the comparisons? Well, in a word, tension. Playing Arc Raiders was a nerve-wracking affair. I was constantly on the alert for the Arc robots, some of which like the Rocketeer and Bastion can take you down almost instantly, and also for fellow players who sometimes felt equally as deadly. Finding a weapon or gear upgrade hits as hard as getting an exotic drop in the DZ, and only heightens the tension of carrying it around knowing that all is lost if you die. Just like in the DZ, each Arc Raider map has multiple extraction points, and the wait for the lift to arrive is just as tense as waiting for that extraction helicopter. If you miss your fix of Division PvP or Survival, I think Arc Raiders is going to scratch your itch. For me, I will definitely play it, but I will continue to get my main fix on the snowy streets of New York. The other big news this week was the completion of the PTS for Year 7 Season 1. Every new piece of gear was covered along with the seasonal modifiers and a new smart cover skill. There is one overriding theme coming out of all the content: power creep. As has been the trend in recent seasons, in Year 7 Season 1 we will be even more powerful than we are this season. New talents like Streamline, the exotic Masked Tinkerer and the data mine buffs from the precision smart cover skill are going to see maybe a 50% increase or more in our damage output. I think I can see why Massive are doing this. Damage in the Division 2 is very opaque, and min-maxing builds typically needs a spreadsheet to take account of all the moving parts. This creates a barrier to entry for new players who will feel underpowered when content is tuned for the optimal builds with high expertise. So Massive are removing that barrier by buffing mediocre builds so that they can take on the hardest content. But this approach does run the risk of leaving veteran players without any real challenge in the game. You only have to look at the power creep in the Chinese game, where players easily solo legendary content, and additional difficulty levels have been added above this. Personally, I think that Massive should learn from the Chinese game's approach and bring in something akin to World of Warcraft's raid difficulties. A standard and harder mythic version of the raids and legendary missions with the seasonal modifiers allowed, and also a mythic plus version with seasonal modifiers disabled. This will give veteran players something to work towards, as well as letting new players experience all of the content in the game. Massive also announced the new Stretch event, an unlimited extension of the current season pass running from now until the DLC drops. This event rewards crafting materials, seasonal gear crates and some cosmetics. You can't really complain about free mats and cosmetics, particularly as we're going to see our first exotic skin, the carapace for the Scorpio, but you can't get too excited about it either. Well, how wrong could I be? Just as I was putting this video to bed, the devs updated the patch notes to reveal that the Brooklyn activation cache, which are awarded in the stretch event, can include otherwise unobtainable exotics. Yes, they're talking about the Eagle Bearer, Ouroboros, Ravenous, Regulus, and the Bighorn, all of which could be yours. That is fucking awesome. Start grinding, agents. The stretch event will run in parallel to the normal events that we get in the run up to the end of the season, a mix of global and XP events. A 3x XP event has just finished, and a season's XP event is just about to start, which is a good way to finish the standard season pass, but doesn't count for the stretch events. By the time this video goes live, the climax missions will be upon us. There was some speculation around the mask that will be awarded for its completion, as well as some of the secrets in it. Data mining has also revealed all of the Hunter masks coming with the DLC. Spoiler warning with all of that content, of course. A couple of final things in this section. The European Union is looking to bring in new laws around premium currencies in games. Their aim with this is to make it clear how much in-game purchases really cost in real money, and to introduce reasonable refund policies if it turns out to not be exactly what you wanted. Premium currencies borrow from what casinos know, that players gamble less if they are using real money. What the EU is requiring developers to do to overcome this is to include the real world price in addition to the premium currency cost. And with Ubisoft based in France, expect them to be picked up by these new regulations. If you ever wondered if the Division 2 works on the Steam Deck, well, this is it playing on ultra settings. Check out Deck Wizard's video to see it running on all settings. And finally, in case you were worried that the Division 3 is potentially on the chopping block following Ubisoft's deal with Tencent, well, this new recruitment suggests otherwise. Before we get into all the videos, a quick aside. YouTube's algorithm is fucking weird. Run the same search twice and you'll get different answers, and I found some videos just didn't appear. The same goes with this video. If you don't subscribe, you might never see any episode of it ever again. In addition to the usual vendor reset and weekly scout videos, there were also a number of guides aimed at new players. Given how new player friendly the game is becoming and the clear and obvious push Massive are making in this direction, this is something we should expect to see more of going forward. In last week's episode, I talked about the removal of shaved mules from the game when the Brooklyn DLC drops on May the 27th. Creators took 3 different approaches in their content following this announcement. Some creators focused on the steps players need to take before the DLC drops, which is a combination of maxing out your SHD level and spending all of the scavenger points. Other creators focused on the other ways that players can level up their expertise. And finally, some flagged the ever-increasing expertise level and the excessive resources that players need to max out their builds. The Hollywood event was running this week and there were a number of builds and guides put out for it. More build guides are published than any other video type, but which build is good and which is not? What I will try to do each week is give you some insight into how the builds will play, their key features, whether they are old familiar builds doing the rounds again, or something brand new that might be worth trying. Let's start with some old favourites. There were 3 striker builds released this week which were very similar. The only real difference between them was whether the build used a striker backpack or not, and the choice of chest piece talent. The options are Obliterate or Intimidate, which is paired with Bloodsucker or Memento on the backpack. Another week and yes, more one-shot builds, all of which use the Broken Determined weapon talent and the Headhunter chest piece talent, along with a high damage single shot weapon and lots of headshot damage. Use this and you can build one yourself. The Eclipse Protocol gear set is a favourite of damage over time builds due to its talent which bounces status effects between enemies on death and the buffs to the damage ticks it provides. Often paired with the Vile Mask for its debuff that triggers when a status effect is applied. 2 PvP builds this week. One is a more standard brand set build with Unbreakable and Vigilance, while the other one is one I've never seen in PvP before. It uses the Negotiator's Dilemma gear set, an interesting idea which will work well if enemies are running in groups, but might leave you a little short in one-on-ones. Well, unless you're a PvP legend like Plum Conch. Finally, Rogold put out a compendium of builds for the Climax mission that is now live. Oh, and there was a countdown support bill from some dodgy content creator, but let's not talk about that one. For the feel-good video of the week, I could have gone with the next episode in this bizarre series. But instead, I wanted to flag Rogue Gold's 100,000 subscriber video. Rogue has been adding 3,000 to 4,000 subscribers a month, which just shows how fucking strong our community is. Congrats, sir. See you the same time next week.